Welcome, students of Europe Hotel School. If you want to be a leader in hospitality, you've got to speak the language of performance. So today, we're going to decode the essential metrics that really drive every single decision in a modern hotel. We're going to turn all that complex data into your most powerful tool.
I'm here to be your guide, your performance support expert. My entire focus is on taking my experience in hotel operations and helping you bridge that gap between what you learn in the classroom and what happens in the real world. Think of this as your personal guide to the challenges and the opportunities you'll face as a manager. So here's our game plan. First, we'll set the stage, understanding just how complex hotel operations are. Then, we're going to build what I like to call a pyramid of metrics. We'll start right at the top with profit, break it down into revenue and costs, and then, most importantly, we'll put it all together. Let's get started.
Managing a hotel, it's like conducting an incredibly complex orchestra. You're juggling guest happiness, your team, maintenance, marketing. The list just goes on and on. So how do you cut through all that noise? How do you really know if you're succeeding? Well, the answer is in the data, but not just any data.
This is where key performance indicators, or KPIs, come into play. A KPI is exactly what it sounds like. It indicates performance. By taking pages and pages of financial reports and boiling them down into one single powerful number. It's a number that tells a story, and more importantly, it helps you figure out what to do next.
So, if we're building that pyramid of metrics, we have to start at the very top. What's the ultimate goal of any hotel's operations? It's profit, right? And the single best measure of that operational success is what we call gross operating profit, or GOP. This is your North Star.
Now, what's really important here is that word efficiency. GOP shows you how good your team actually is at turning sales into real, tangible profit, before things like rent or corporate overhead are factored in. This is what makes it the perfect metric for an apples-to-apples comparison of your hotel's performance against another, even if they have totally different owners or financial structures.
Okay, so we have our peak metric GOP. Let's start breaking it down. Since profit is just revenue minus costs, let's start with that first foundational block, revenue. And in the hotel world, believe me, the king of all revenue metrics is RevPAR.
RevPAR is just brilliant because it combines two absolutely critical things into one number. How many rooms you sold, which is your occupancy, and how much you sold them for, your average daily rate. This is so important because it lets you compare, say, a tiny 50-room boutique hotel with a giant 500-room convention hotel on a completely level playing field. But, and this is a really big but, RevPAR isn't the whole story, not even close. A high RevPAR is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it only tells you about your room's revenue. It says absolutely nothing about your restaurant, your spa, or, crucially, how much it cost you to get that revenue in the first place. You can actually have an amazing RevPAR and still be losing money. And that brings us perfectly to the second foundational block of our pyramid, costs. If RevPAR is all about how much you make, then cost ratios are all about how efficiently you spend. They give you a really quick, clear snapshot of where all your money is going. Let's look at two classic examples. Your labor cost percentage. That tells you how much of every single dollar that comes in goes right back out to pay your team. Then you have your food cost percentage, which shows how much of your restaurant's revenue is spent just on ingredients. Keeping an eye on these ratios is absolutely essential for spotting problems before they get out of hand. And this is a brilliant piece of wisdom that comes straight from your own institution. You cannot manage by numbers alone. Think about it. You could slash your food cost percentage by buying cheaper ingredients, sure, but what's going to happen to your guest reviews? You could cut labor costs, but what happens to your service? You always have to balance the financial metrics with the quality metrics.
Okay, so how do we pull this all together? Because we've already established that no single number can ever tell the full story. Real leadership, true management skill, comes from connecting the dots, from turning these isolated numbers into clear, strategic decisions.
Here's a simple but incredibly powerful way to think. You start high level. Step 1, how's our revenue? That's your RevPAR. Step 2, how's our overall profit? That's your GOP. Now, if you see a disconnect between those two, that's when you go to step 3. You drill down into your cost ratios to find out why. This logical flow is what takes you from just looking at a report to actually taking action.
This is the classic scenario. This is the big one. If your RevPAR is strong, it means your sales team is doing a fantastic job. They're filling rooms at a great price. But If that success isn't showing up as a strong GOP, then alarm bells should be going off. It is a crystal clear signal that your expenses are too high somewhere, and now you know exactly where you need to start looking.
So, I'll leave you with this challenge. Picture it. You're the general manager. You see this exact scenario in your monthly report. A great RevPAR, but a weak GOP. Whose office do you go to? Which department's budget do you pull up first? Answering these kinds of questions is what separates a good manager from a great leader. Understanding this language gives you the power to ask the right questions and to drive your hotel to success. Thank you for your time.